for last laugh. So, here's the thing. I want to talk to you this week about a subject dear to my heart. It's called association football. That is the round ball, the spherical object. I'm not talking about American football with the oval, not Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Miami Dolphins are my team in American football. First match I ever saw was Dan Marino against Joe Montana in the 1984 Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers won by 38 points to 12. The Dolphins got destroyed and basically have been pretty miserable since. But I don't want to talk about American football. I want to talk about English football. I want to take you to the late 1970s and the early 1980s and a team in London called Tottenham Hotspur, or just Spurs. They were not my team. Crystal Palace were my team because that's where I was from. So that's people like Jim Cannon and Vince Hilaire, the Ron Nodes era as the chairman of that South London club. But Spurs, they were lots of people's second team. They played attractive football. They wore white, and they were pretty progressive in a lot of ways. They had two fantastic players from Argentina at that time, a guy called Osvaldo Ardiles and Ricardo Villa, and they were both Argentinian internationals, and they were beloved not only by the Spurs fans but pretty much honestly by all fans of British football, because this was at a time when we didn't have a lot of players from outside the United Kingdom playing. And Argentina, well, that might as well have been on the moon as far as most British football fans were concerned. So they were great. But I don't want to talk about them, although incidentally, Ricardo Villa scored one of the great cup final goals ever in 1981 in the cup final replay against Manchester City, where he weaved his way past 5 Manchester City defenders and then slotted the ball home for Tottenham's third goal, and that was the decisive goal in the cup final replay. But no, I don't want to talk about the Argentinians. I want to talk to you about the captain of Tottenham Hotspur at that time, and his name was Gary Mabbutt. Now, Gary Mabbutt was a real working class guy, what you would call in America blue collar, right? He didn't have a ton of talent, plenty, but not a ton. He wasn't gifted. What he had was heart and drive and passion and love of the game. And he was tremendous. He was a defender, a central defender. For those of you who don't know, basically there's four types of soccer players. There's a goalkeeper who's allowed to use his hands to stop shots. There's a defence, which Gary Mabbutt is part of. There's a midfield who generally run up and down. They're the engine room of the team. And then there's the forwards who are designed to score the goals. Okay, now the thing you need to know about Gary Mabbutt is that in round about 600 appearances for Tottenham over many, many years, he had never, ever, ever scored a goal. Okay, I'm going to take you to the cup final of 1981, Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City. Manchester City were not an overly great team at the time. Dennis Tueart was arguably their best player, and he was a big, balding centre forward trying to score the goals. And honestly, if Dennis Tueart is your best player, that's probably not a good sign. So we're in the cup final, there's 10 minutes to go, and Tottenham lead by 1-0. If they can hold on from the onslaught of Manchester City pressure, they will win, and that will be the cup over. If Manchester City score, there will be a replay the following Wednesday. Now, if you've been paying attention to this story, you already know that, yes, it's going to be a replay, and then Ricardo Villa is going to weave his way through 5 people and all that stuff. But it's how we get to the replay that counts. 5 minutes to go. Manchester City press. The ball comes in. It bobbles across the Wembley turf. And somebody has to take responsibility. And that man is Gary Mabbutt, because he bleeds Tottenham Hotspur. He sticks out a leg. The ball bobbles. It bounces off his shin. It goes inexorably closer and closer and closer to the goal, and it trickles in to his own net. And that is how Manchester City equalised in the cup final of 1981 and meant that there would be a replay later in the week. In a 22-year career with Tottenham Hotspur, Gary Mabbutt only ever scored 1 goal. And it was that own goal against his own team. Now, fast forward a bunch of years, because, like I said, that was the early 80s. And like many footballers do, like we all do, people die. Gary Mabbutt passed away. And you know what? Football fans have a real sense of humour in the UK. Perhaps some of you know about the Golden Boot. Now, at the Soccer World Cup, whoever scores the most goals from whatever country gets the Golden Boot, and it is literally a trophy. It's made of gold. It's in the shape of a football boot. Gary Mabbott was buried with a Golden Boot in ironic honour of the only goal he ever scored for his team, which was, of course, against his team. Of course, it had a happy ending. He would go on to raise the cup the following Wednesday. But nonetheless, a sort of ironic cheer from the supporters of Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I'm actually still friends, which is a surprise when you hear what I did to them, with a bunch of really hardcore Tottenham Hotspur fans. Not like me, who just kind of like them a bit. Huge Tottenham fans and huge Gary Mabbott fans. So I was online a few weeks ago and a wicked thought struck me. Now the thing is, this is the kind of thing you can only do on the internet. Because let's be honest, if we were in real life and you could see my face, you would know something terrible was coming. People do that to me all the time. They meet me at tournaments and go, "You're thinking something, aren't you, Richard?" I'm like, "Yeah, how can you tell?" My daughter calls it my daddy face. Well, I don't know what she's talking about. You see, that's the daddy face. But online, they can't see you. So I had this wicked idea. So I said, "Hi guys, how are you? Isn't it terrible," I typed, "about Gary Mabbott?" They said, "What?" I said, "Well, you know how the only goal he ever scored, 600 games, and he was buried with the Golden Boot?" And they go, "Yeah, of course we do. What?" I said, "Somebody has been in and has opened up the coffin and stolen that Golden Boot." They said, "Rich, you're joking." I said, "I'm not." I said, "Really? That's terrible." I said, "No, it's awful, isn't it?" I said, "Rich, you sure you're not joking?" I said, "Guys, do you seriously think that I would joke to you about Gary Mabbott, who in 22 years for Tottenham played 600 games and only ever scored one goal, and it was against Tottenham Hotspur, and then he was buried with the Golden Boot, and then I would lie to you about the coffin being dug up and the Golden Boot being taken away? Do you actually think I would do that?" They said, "Rich, we know you. Are you joking?" I said, "No." They said, "Are you joking?" I said, "No." They said, "Are you joking?" I said, "Yeah, all right. I'm joking." And they were not very pleased with me, I can tell you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, was my goal, Gary, grave, troll. I'll see you next week on Downtime.